Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Thanks for joining us today on New Life Live. I'm your host, Brian Perez, in the studio with licensed marriage and family therapist Marc Cameron, author of that new book that we love talking about called Understanding Your Attachment Style. It's available in the newlife.com store. And if you get it from us, there's a lot of exclusive content too, so check that out. Also here, we've got Dr. Jim Burns, the founder of Homeward. How are you guys doing?
Very good. Very good. It's always great for me to be with Marc. I have a special connection with him. I love this guy. I took notes. We just did a show, and I took notes on him.
Yeah.
I'm going to steal it. I'll just admit that in front of him.
Plagiarism. All right, Jim Burns, what have you got on your mind to begin today's show, other than Marc Cameron?
Well, the essence of creativity is the ability to copy. So I'm just going to copy him. I'm not going to plagiarize him.
Yes,
I want to ask a question to all of us. What does a toxic family look like? We talk about toxic families, all day long. We'll talk about some probably toxic, situations here at New Life even today. But I want to kind of help you think through, how toxic is our family. And I'm thinking about this because, hey, Christmas is coming up, and we're going to be with some of those toxic family members, potentially. I know that I am, to be honest. But here's a couple of points. Number one is a lot of toxic families, the people have no regard for boundaries, and they give you no breathing room. And that means that you're in a toxic situation. Does it mean that you go estranged from them? No. It means that you recognize that, and then you kind of help with some boundaries. Sometimes I find, and we talk about boundaries here all the time, when we give someone boundaries, then, and we live with boundaries, healthy boundaries, then, they kind of get in line with it. A second one is that in a toxic family or a toxic family member, they will regularly ghost you. That's kind of the big word these days. Ghosting can be very toxic to a family, and it's a relatively new term. And that I just love this term, and it's just basically that someone is ignoring you. Okay, they're just ignoring you. You write a text, are you coming to the party, and you don't hear from them, and it just bugs you, and they're just kind of ghosting you. That's a small illustration compared to deeper ones. And then another one, it's another new word that we use. Well, it's not really a new word. There was a movie in 1938, and it's called gaslight. Regularly gaslight you, and gaslighting comes from that movie, Gaslight, which happened a long time ago. But it's when we have a manipulative husband, we have a manipulative wife, we have manipulative children, we have manipulative parents, whatever it may be. And, there's a lot of criticism and judgment, and that can be manipulative. They try to correct you through criticism, and that doesn't work very well. And then they see the blame game as an Olympic sport. Some families just play the blame game, and that means that, again, we're in a toxic situation, or you'll see it where they disrespect your beliefs, they feel judged, or they feel shamed. They shame you. That a lot of us were raised on shame-based parenting. Well, that meant that we had a toxic, kind of family growing up, and there's so many other things. One of the other things is that we try to change family members when they're in full-blown addiction. And what we've learned is we have to help them get past their addiction, work into their recovery before we do much changing. So we'll say, well, they're a full-blown alcoholic, but when they're sober, are they great? Well, no, we need to get them sober, and then we can kind of work through some things. So, that's kind of the test, the toxic family test that I just thought I would throw out today. And there's some people who probably say that's my family.
Yeah, I love it. We often slip into a family of origin old roles when we get around our family, and we need to learn to be our adult self around them, and we do that by putting on our secure adult self, and we have to practice doing that, and sometimes it takes a few times of giving those different responses before people respond back to us.
No, you're right. We have to put on our big boy and big girl pants sometimes and do it right with adult. Yeah, I like that. Be the adult in the room.
And if you don't understand your attachment style, you can understand your attachment style with Marc Cameron's new book. Like I said, it's available in the newlife.com store. We'll be back with some phone calls. Dan, Danny, Susie, all coming up.
We've been married 33 years. We attended the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop. Even though we've read books, or attended a few other marriage weekends, this was certainly different and a lot more intensive than initially that we thought.
When you come to intimacy in marriage, you're going to be immersed into a 3-day process.
Was not really sure exactly what to expect, but the idea of learning to really understand intimacy was intriguing. We had been in the same patterns of struggle over and over again.
If you've thought, I don't think we can ever change, we're just in this rut and we can't get out, the Intimacy in Marriage workshop can help you get out of the rut.
The Intimacy in Marriage Weekend is February 13th to the 15th in Orange County, California. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the code NLL for a discount. 1-800-639-5433.
I would highly recommend it.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Let's go straight to the phones. Here is Danny, who listens on WAVA in Lynchburg, Virginia. Welcome, Danny, to New Life Live.
Hey, guys. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah. How can we help you? Thanks for calling in.
You're welcome. I have like a dilemma, and I don't know exactly how to deal with this. I'm supposed to be like a life coach, and I have a calling to be in the Virginia area. I believe that's why the Lord led us up here, to be away from the Midwest, where all my family is. And you all were talking about dysfunctional families and toxic relationships, and I'm going, oh, man. Oh, my God, you were speaking about all these things that have happened in my childhood, right?
You called in on the right day, right, Danny?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Here you go, though. Here's the thing. I feel like I'm being led to go back into Pandora's box and be with them and be blessed by my new nieces that are one in almost going to be born in May. And I'm like, I don't know how to do the disorganized attachment thing. You know what I'm saying? Because like I feel like I want to go back with them, but I moved away from them because it was tough. See what I'm saying? So I don't know if I should go back or whether this is just something that I'm running away from up here and trying to get down there. You know what I'm saying? Or over there.
Yeah, Mark.
To the Midwest.
Yeah,
I don't know what to do.
Yeah, because at first I heard you say, Danny, that you feel called to be a life coach and be in a certain area.
In Virginia.
Right, and then I'm hearing you say that maybe you're feeling called to go back. Is that what you're saying here? That's confusing.
Yeah, it is confusing, and I don't understand. I don't understand which door is supposed to be opening and which door is slowly closing. You see what I'm saying? I feel like there's a shift back to my family and to practice what I've been preaching about up here in the Virginia area. You know what I'm saying? He's like, okay, you've done this with everybody else's family. Now go do it with yours. And I'm like, whoa, I don't know that I don't feel qualified, quantified, or anywhere remotely like smart enough to get to them. You know what I'm saying? Only the Holy Spirit can do that, right?
Right.
So what do you do?
Well,
how do you know what you're supposed to do?
Well, let's start with a feeling here first, because here's how I would define your feeling. I would define your feeling as ambivalence. Ambivalence is two opposing feelings at the same time. I do, but I don't. And I'm wondering, is ambivalence, you know, what I'm describing it to be, is that a common theme in your life, ambivalence?
Yes.
Would it surprise you to know that there's actually an attachment style that is called the ambivalent person?
I knew that there was one of them that I have. I definitely have disorganized attachment, but I thought there was an ambivalent. And I swear I recognize that from my studying, but I don't remember how that applies to me, technically.
Yeah, well,
in my really go into it.
Yeah, in my book, I named that style the vacillator, and I use the same names for the attachment styles as Mylan and Kay Yerkovich do in there, but just because I just think it's more helpful. It defines the predominant characteristic, but the traditional research word is the ambivalent or the preoccupied person. And then I'm hearing you talk about disorganized attachment style, and that comes when somebody grows up in just a chaotic home, and they can form a mix of the attachment styles. Now, here's what I would say is that so in learning to grow out of ambivalence, we overcome ambivalence by picking one way. right? Because you pick one, because it's opposing paths, so you got to pick one path. And the way that I like to think about how do you know which path to pick is you think, well, what would I do if I wasn't fearful? Or what do I think is the most emotionally healthy thing to do? And that typically helps you figure out which one is the right one. Now, family of origins tend to have a strong magnetic pull to try and pull us back into the chaos. And then we go back, and then we end up back into the same spiral. And sometimes moving away from family is actually the healthiest thing to do if they're chaotic, because we need to kind of get out of that so that we can grow. I like to say you can't grow in a storm. And so sometimes we've got to get out of the storm so that we can grow. So I think if you believe that God has called you to, carry out, be his hands and his feet out in that Virginia area to be a life coach and to grow free, that may be the way that you I don't want to tell you what you should do here. I just kind of want to, I just want to guide you, because usually when God calls us to do something, we have something that we can look back on and we can say, okay, this door opened up, or this person said something to me. And, sometimes we just have to say too, like, hey, God, I believe that this is what you're asking me to do. There's some confusion here, but I'm going to pursue this one. And if I'm wrong, make that abundantly clear by opening the door back or closing a door somewhere for us.
Yeah. And I think that's a way of learning, Danny, what's God's will for you. Obviously, you are saying you have a calling, but you feel led in a different way. So the ambivalent is, it's two distinct things that are kind of, at one. And sometimes just time helps you think through that. I wanted to ask you a question. What does your community say? I think you said you were married. What does your husband think about a move to the Midwest?
He wants to move back there because he's I'm from Nebraska, but we met in Kansas City area. And so, we got married in Raytown, Missouri. And so, I can tell you, he wants to go back because that's where his family is.
Sure.
But his family is very toxic and won't even, give us the time of day. So we have very unique, bad situations with our family. So we moved, and we came up here, and we developed a family. We had people over for Thanksgiving. We pretended and I feel like the word pretending is the cure-all word. I feel like I've been pretending to run away from my family when really what I need to be is probably in the middle of it so that I can help them figure out what's going on. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what to do.
So
I know what to do, but I don't know how to put it into practice.
On a practical level, you and your husband your income comes in Virginia, and if you moved, is there a job for your husband? Is there a job for you?
He's retired and 100% disabled vet.
Okay, got it.
So we're both, we could go anywhere we want to in the United States or whatever.
If you all went back on a sightseeing tour, let's say you had the ability to, and it sounds like you might be able to do this, to take a month and get out there and visit his side and your side, and really, literally, it's kind of you're checking it out. Yeah, you're just checking it out. I wonder if that would give you some insight. Sometimes I feel like I just said to somebody they were considering being a missionary, and I said, have you ever been to Peru, which is a great place? And they said, no, we've never been there. Do you speak Spanish? No. Well, why don't you go for an extended, and they said, well, we have 3 weeks. Great. Go for 3 weeks. That's not going to be the answer all, but it may give you clarity. Yeah. If you go to the Midwest and see them, it may give you clarity, because obviously you can be used by God in both places. And maybe God can give you some discernment even in the shorter time of going and visiting with them. And it may be the discernment to say, you know what, I'm going to love on these people, and I'm going to do everything I can, but I'm going to do it from Virginia. And then, on the other hand, it could be that you get a direct call. Have you thought about, literally, and again, I realize there's money involved, you got to stay someplace, and on, but
there's the word that I heard from the Lord. I swear I almost heard it audible. I heard the word stay, but does that mean stay here or stay there or stay wherever?
Well, you need clarity.
Where is stay?
Yeah, I mean, part of us discerning God's will is getting clarity, and I think we do that from, sometimes the best way to do that is, you're a life coach. By talking with other people around you, your life coach, or a lot of times if you're in a life coach situation, then you have a counselor, or you have somebody who's helping you. Walk through that with them, and maybe somebody is going to give you some insight who can give you clarity. We obviously aren't in this time because it's a short time, but somebody who knows you, who is right there for you. I'd consider really listening to your community, because a lot of times God speaks through that. Where there is no counsel, the people fall. In the multitude of counselors, there is safety. That's what you do. You use what you're doing now with somebody else to help you. And nobody's going to tell you, just like Mark said. He's not going to tell you what to do. But sometimes when you go and you experience it, you'll know.
Well, and I'm also hearing, Danny, you feeling or stating that some level of responsibility to help them heal. And again, I wonder if that's part of a rescuing strategy that you have that may come from a wound. And as Jim's saying, as you have your own therapist or counselor in your life and you explore the origins of that might help you understand where that pull is coming from, because you might be a rescuer and your husband really wants to go back there, right? And that fuels that ambivalence. But, even Jesus wasn't accepted in his own hometown, and he said that prophet's not accepted in my hometown. So my concern for you would be going back there wanting to really help them, and then you're left in this cycle of frustration because nobody really wants to listen to you. So I think what Jim is saying is really good, is going to explore something. But getting, having a group of people, having a board of directors around you in your life to say, hey, this is what I'm thinking, and ask each of them separately, what are your thoughts on this? But if you work on your wounds, you become free of your insecurities, and they lose their power over you.
Yeah, and sometimes does give you clarity, as you're doing that. And I think you got to read Mark's book.
I think so.
You're going to be the first person that I know that was sending copy. Maybe it went out last week.
Yeah, I think we did. Understanding Your Attachment Style from Marc Cameron. We're going to put that in the mail to you. Thank you so much for calling in today, Danny. This book is available in the newlife.com store. So thank you so much for calling in today. Also, if you order the book by today, you will get it by Christmas. So make sure you take advantage of that. Danny, thanks for your phone call. And now we're going to go to Dan in Little Rock, Arkansas, listening on KPGC. You are on New Life Live, Dan.
Hello.
Hi, what's your question for us today?
Well, I deal with a lot of mistrust of people, thinking people are out to mess with my life or hurt me. And I've seen that manifest and actually happen in my life many times.
Dan, I can barely hear you. Can you get closer to your phone, or I don't know?
I deal with. Can you hear me now?
A little better.
Yeah, we heard you saying that you're dealing with mistrust in your life.
Yes, thinking people are out to mess my life up or hurt me, and in my life that has manifested and happened many times. But I feel like there's a spirit of fear in my life, and my question is, when King Saul was given over to a spirit of fear, can that happen today? Because, it's similar. I was close to God when I was young, but I backslid and sinned a lot in my life, and right now I'm trying to turn my life back over to God, and that's my question.
All right.
Well, so Dan, what I'm hearing is that you tend to be suspicious of others, that they may be out to get something from you. And then sometimes that happens, there's something called self-fulfilling prophecy. When we look for something, we start to see it. And then, our brain goes into something called confirmation bias and says, aha, I knew it was going to happen. Right. And then that's what we hold on to. But generally, a lack of trust inside of a person comes from their foundational experiences. If we grow up in homes and families where, our needs get met, we learn to trust. And even when, people let us down in the world, we just have this overall sense that, that was that person, but I know that relationships can be trusted. So I know you're asking a question about a spirit of trust, but tell us a little bit about growing up and your family experiences. Were you able to trust others around you?
Oh, well, I had a good childhood, but I don't want to go into detail, but I've dealt with a lot of situations where...
Dan, I'm hearing the background noise again. I'm sorry.
As an adult, I've dealt with lots of situations that would make people mistrust people, that's for sure. But as a child, it was fun.
Right. So just to clarify, in case people didn't hear it, you had some experiences, generally good, but you had some experiences where there was mistrust. And so what I would say is learning to explore that. Getting in with a counselor. I mean, we often recommend this because it's just so healthy to have somebody, that outside perspective to kind of help you ask good questions, to dig into things, and just to, pose a different perspective to help you to look at things differently. I know Jim's going to have some really good advice for you here, and we're about to hit the break, but, that's what I would suggest.
Do you have a teaser of what you're going to tell us, Jim?
I'm going to talk about paranoia and fear, and actually, I think Saul had some paranoia over this relationship with David.
Okay.
I think we got some answers for him.
All right. So thanks for calling in today, Dan. Stay on the phone and we'll continue to talk to you. And Susie, I also see you on the board, and everyone else who wants to talk to Mark and Jim. You're at the right place because they're both here today on New Life Live. Marc Cameron, licensed marriage and family therapist. Jim Burns, the founder of Homeward. And we are here today on this Friday to talk with you about whatever it is you're going through, the struggles in life, the fear, the anxiety, the whatever it is that you're going through. We can help you at New Life Live.
Hello, everybody. It's Becky Brown, and I'm coming to you with an urgent need. There are many people that are in difficult relationships, difficult places in their lives.
How do I navigate through that and not to hurt my son?
We had some generous friends of New Life that started a matching gift, and every gift will be doubled up to $475,000. The matching window closes December 31st, so don't wait. Every moment matters in recovery, healing, and restoration.
I do a lot of work in my local church, and so just being able to hear y'all work through some of these situations really helps me to have some insight on how to help others.
Make your gift today by going to newlife.com, click on Donate, or text the word MATCH to 28950. You can also call us, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Together, we will bring hope and help to so many more people. And I want to say thank you in advance. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE, or you can text the word MATCH to 28950.
For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addiction, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first steps toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door for a better tomorrow.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
Call 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
And let's go back to Dan in Little Rock. Are you still with us, Dan?
Yes.
All right. Jim.
Hey, Dan. Appreciate your call, and I also appreciate the fact that you talked about mistrust. Typically, and I think where Mark was going at it, is that typically we experience a lot of mistrust if we grew up with a lot of mistrust. And so I was surprised because you said, I grew up with a pretty good childhood, and then you kind of didn't want to go into it. But a lot of times the mistrust is because of past experiences. So I want to talk to you about the spirit of fear, but before that, would you say there's been a lot of mistrust in your life?
Yes, more of an adult, I mean, I've had guns put to my head, knives pulled on me, robbed, different situations. It probably brings PTSD, more like, I haven't been in the military, but kind of military experiences.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Anxiety situations and people calling and
Right. Okay. That's probably where you're getting at it. That's why, as when Mark talked about, talking with a counselor could go a little deeper on that and help you kind of think through that. Even when you said PTSD, I mean, the three of us in our studio, the reaction when you said somebody, put a gun to my head, well, we all went, whoa. You know, literally we had a physical reaction to that, because that is something very scary, and I understand that. And that's where you do want to talk with somebody and help them, you know, get that. Now, let's talk about a spirit of fear, because you talked about Saul having a spirit of fear, and the Bible does use that term, spirit of, sometimes. And so we don't know if that, truly, we do not know. People do not know. There's not an answer to this. Is there a spirit of fear? Is there a spirit of, you know, this and that? Obviously, there is the Holy Spirit, and there are, you know, negative spirits, but maybe it was just the word they were using. What I find sometimes is people who have a lot of fear in their life, just will take the word spirit out of it, but just who have a lot of fear in their life, there's a reason. You got to get to that reason. And sometimes it's that they have developed almost what we would call a paranoia because of whatever that past experience was. So I think what you want to do is get in with somebody and you know, do the heavy lifting, do the work. You may learn a lot about you that will help you become all that God wants you to be as time goes on. Because, you know, I think sometimes people who have mistrust for a reason. So, you know, I mean, my wife had somebody break in to her house before she was married. My family didn't even lock our door where I lived. And so when we first got married, she had a reason to have mistrust, but she would get so mad at me because I would forget to lock the door. I'm just admitting my sins here, guys. And so I had to learn, you know, a certain way because of her background, not because of my background. I'm not saying I think people should lock their doors now, but you see what I'm saying? So you may not totally understand why you have this, what you called a spirit of fear, but you may not know why you have this fear, or maybe even a paranoia. Although I just get a hint out of a couple of things that happened in your life that's kind of the normal reaction. So how do we work through that? Well, we have to deal with that and work through it. And that's what I'd suggest you do.
Well, I love what you're saying too, Jim, about, you know, we don't really know if there was a spirit of fear wandering the earth back then or now. But what we do know is that their brains were likely the same as us. And fear is learned. There's many studies that show that. And there's the part of the brain where fear gets held is a part called the amygdala. Yeah. And it's a learning system. And so whenever we go through a dangerous situation, especially if it's like a survival level situation, which is what you were in, someone pulling a gun on you, someone pulling a knife, of course, that is going to be PTSD. That is going to make you hypervigilant to that type of thing happening again. And so whether there is a spirit of fear or not, what we do know from God's design is that he's designed us in this way to learn from things. And, you know, when we go through traumatic experiences, that part of the brain becomes overreactive. And there's a particularly effective therapy called EMDR is the abbreviation. It stands for eye movement desensitization reprocessing. And it's a way to reprocess events. And what happens when you do that, it actually takes that stimulus from the amygdala and actually moves it into more longer term processing so that we're not as hypervigilant to threats, especially when they're just perceived threats, they're not actually happening. So that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, it's good.
What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really remember the letters of what he said, but yes, if I could that given to me again, I could.
Yeah, we'll give it to you on our call screen. It's called EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing. And the great thing is these shows are recorded, so you can always listen back to what we said too.
That's right. We archive everything on YouTube and. Of course, newlife.com. You can subscribe to our podcast and you can listen to past episodes and share them with your friends. But Dan, thanks for calling in today to New Life Live. We're going to put you on hold and send you a copy of the Trust book from the newlife.com store. So God bless you, Dan. We appreciate your phone call there from Little Rock, Arkansas. And all this week, we've been helping people like Dan and Danny and earlier in the week, Lynn, Katie, Mike, just some of the names that come to mind. And it's because we bring hope to other people. Here's what one listener said. Her name is Lisa. Thank you for offering Christian, Bible-based counseling that helps us to reframe some of the difficult situations in life. By doing this, you have opened a door of hope to so many. We desperately need more, not less, of your kind of ministry. I decided that even though times are tight, it's time to help you. Wow, Lisa, thank you so much for helping us even when you're maybe not in the best financial situation, but you're still like, you know what, there's so many hurting people out there. They call into the radio program. Sometimes they call us off the air to our office number. There really are a lot of hurting people, and we can help them. Right now, we're in the middle of a matching gift campaign, so whatever you give gets doubled up to $475,000. Find out more at newlife.com/match or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, I'm Dr. John Townsend. The new year is a perfect time to move from intention to action. If you felt a nudge to deepen your leadership, your counseling, or coaching skill set, the Townsend Institute at Concordia University, Irvine can help you move forward. We offer accredited online degree programs in counseling, leadership, executive coaching, and consulting, from certificates to master's to PhD programs. Classes for spring 2026 begin in February with flexible online options designed for busy professionals. If growth is on your list for the year ahead, take a next step today. Sign up for our online information night, Townsend Institute Live, on Wednesday, January 14th. You'll interact directly with our faculty, our staff, and our alumni. You'll get your questions answered, and we'll waive your application fee for attending. So learn more and register at cui.edu/Townsend. I hope to meet you soon. God bless.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Quick, let's go to Rapid City, South Dakota.
No pun intended.
No pun intended whatsoever. Susie, listening on Sirius XM Channel 131. Welcome to New Life Live.
Hi.
Hi. How can we help you today?
Well, I'm just calling in because we have an adult son that he's a good kid. He's got a great job, but he comes home in between his work schedule and stays here, and he doesn't participate. He just, sleeps or plays video games. We've asked him, sometimes to help or to do different things, and he just doesn't want to, doesn't want to participate. And we just don't really know, what to do with him. I've told him, you don't seem happy here, and you seem angry when you're here, and it's kind of spilling over into the rest of the family. Why don't you find your own place or that sort of thing? And he gets angry and doesn't do anything about it. So I don't know what to do.
How old is he, Susie, and what's his job?
He's 22 years old, and he's an electrician at a coal mine. So he makes really good money. So he has a strange schedule. Like he works, he'll work 3 nights, 12-hour shifts, and then have a day or two off, and then he'll have to work 4 days, 12-hour shifts. So he's tired when he gets home, but and I understand that. But sometimes he'll have a week off, and he won't do anything but sleep or play video games.
And when you say he doesn't participate and he gets angry, what are your expectations of the things that he should be participating in, and what does his anger look like?
Participation, just I don't know. He comes to eat when we say the dinner's ready, but he doesn't necessarily help clean up. He doesn't participate or offer to help usually in getting ready. We do live on a ranch, so there's always things going on, and we've said, hey, we could use some help with this or use some help with that, and he doesn't, doesn't want to unless we say we really need you. Then he'll show up. So I don't know. Just I guess we're as him being home as an adult, just seems like he should.
Do you charge him rent or anything?
No, because we never thought in a million years that he would be like doing this still. I mean, he has a crash pad over there at the mine that he stays at when he's working his 12-hour shifts, but that's all it is. He just sleeps there, and then he doesn't actually live there.
Right.
So so he is an adult, but he's a young adult, and actually I learned this term from Jim's book here. He's a transitional adult. So he's still transitioning, and so he's not a child anymore, but he's still living at home, so he's still somewhat dependent upon you. And what we know from neuroscience is actually the adult brain doesn't completely develop until the and for mid-20s, and for males, late 20s. And so biologically, it's not that necessarily that we are, we don't have adult responsibilities, but biologically, we're in adolescence, so to speak, until that time. And so it sounds like, he's probably ready for you, even if he wouldn't admit it, to kind of challenge him to the next level of adulthood, which could be either charging him rent or encouraging him to move out, or requiring him to engage in certain activities, certain chores and things like that. And especially if he's living at home and he's mistreating you in his anger or his irritation, I mean, that's not okay. I mean, the next, our job as parents is to, and I have, young adult, I would say, lightly quote unquote, because they're 20, right? After what I'm telling you here, young adult kids.
They're telling you they're adults,
right? Exactly, but they are still, but they are still dependent,
sure.
and not just financially, but emotionally too. And I find myself that I have to challenge them and call them out in different ways. And my son no longer lives with us, but at some point, you do have to kind of launch kids, and if they won't launch, you have to challenge them to launch, and you got to kind of push them, so to speak, somewhat out of the door, so that they can learn to stand on their feet. And so that might be the next level for you. What holds you back from asking him to leave, or charging him rent, or maybe even having that conversation of, hey, listen, we love you, we care about you, we get you got a hard job and you need to come home and relax, but when you come home and you're irritable, like, that's not okay. What holds you back?
I guess the part of that we've just kind of accepted it was that just growing up, he's always challenged us and been one that didn't really want to participate and didn't really want to help. So we kind of ignored it, and it's like, well, maybe he'll grow out of it. And so I did challenge him recently, and I just pointed out, I mean, some goes through waves of being frustrated, and then we go through waves of like, it's just him. He's just that way. Just let it go, and if you don't rock the boat, then he's not angry, really. He just does his thing and we do our thing. But it doesn't seem healthy. And we also have a 18-year-old that lives here that gets really, really upset because he sees his older brother seemingly take advantage of us, and that just really frustrates him. And so the whole atmosphere in the house when the 22-year-old is home gets tense and, not healthy.
Yeah. Well, I'll let Jim...
I don't know. I guess I just need to challenge him. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let Jim jump here in a minute, because he's somewhat of an expert on this. But here's what I would say to you. I did an opening on this actually several months ago. It could even be a year ago, on eagles. Eagles actually make the nest uncomfortable for the young eaglet. After a while, as they get old enough, they actually start to pull some of the fur and the fluff out to expose something like the thorny nests. And then they'll even take the food that they bring back and they'll put it on a different branch. So the eaglet has to go out and get the food. And if the eaglet falls to the ground, they actually don't go and rescue the eaglet. They still bring the eaglet food, but they leave the eaglet on the ground and until it grows mature enough out of necessity.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. That's
Lessons
a great
from
illustration.
Nature. Yeah.
That is a great illustration.
That's on page 89 in his book. No,
I'm telling you. I love that. I actually think, Susie, that this is a great opportunity for you. The bottom line in parenting with your adult child is that you want them to be a responsible adult. And so if we can constantly enable them toward dependency on us, then what that happens is they become entitled and they don't become responsible adults. I mean, he's got a great deal right now. You know, he comes home when he wants and he plays video games when he wants and he does whatever he wants and he doesn't help you guys out. I'm going to suggest not in the heat of the battle. So again, you can always have the heat of the battle, but in the heat of the battle, that you have a really good conversation with him and you almost recognize him to be a man. I worked for an organization and spoke for an organization called Promise Keepers, and the president of it used to say all the time, right before I would speak, he would say, a man is not a man until you tell him he is. And so you want to treat him now like a man. So you have to reinvent the relationship, give him the passport to adulthood. And what you say is, now that you are an adult, let's talk about how we can, best do this. And again, I'm not putting this on your brother because he's not yet an adult, but he's close. And then give exactly what Mark said. I think you either give him some expectations that are, he has a full-time job, sure, but you all work too. So, since you're working, what we're going to ask is that you help with and don't just go help. Say you're going to help by doing the dishes twice a week. I'm making this up, obviously. You're in a ranch. You're going to help with this or that. But things he can do, things he's already done. Sometimes he's rolled his eyes, but here's what we're hoping for, or what we're expecting. However, because you're an adult, if you choose to, go get a place, maybe we can even help you with, it sounds like he has money, but maybe we can even help you with the first month rent a little bit, or we'll do whatever. Mm-hmm. And we realize the negative to that, but we also realize the positive. Or, like we did this with our daughter, we actually, when she came back, and there was a little of that with her, we charged her, and we actually charged her $100 a month, so it was not going to change her life. She'd already had an apartment, and her, the girl she was with moved. And we just took the money, we put it aside, and when she left after 2.5 years, it was a 2-month deal, but it became 2.5 years, we gave her the money. And she goes, what, huh? And I think she thought it was kind of weird that we charged her the rent, but we just thought we're going to help her by being responsible, even in a small way. So I think what you're talking about is reinventing the relationship for you. He doesn't know how to be an adult, and you don't know how to parent an adult. No, we just don't. None of us do. So you give him those expectations. How he handles those expectations will help him become a responsible adult.
Do you think some of his anger might also stem from his video game usage or constantly playing? And even if it does, I mean, he's 22. It's not like mom can say, stop playing video games. We're cutting off the electricity at 9 o'clock or whatever. I mean, yeah. All right. So we're going to send you a copy of Dr. Jim Burns' book, which is right here, Doing Life with Your Adult Children. It's available for purchase in the newlife.com store as well, but just for calling in today, Susie, we're going to send you one, and we will rapidly get it to you there in Rapid City, South Dakota. I used that joke twice today. I'm so proud of me. All right, more questions coming up here on New Life Live.
My husband addicted to pornography for the majority of our marriage. I was very isolated and didn't really know which way to turn.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
I went to the Restore conference, which seemed to be the missing puzzle piece where I was able to find my voice.
When two people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we are not stuck because someone else made a decision. God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our life.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, March 6th to the 8th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Enter the code NLL for a discount.
I'm navigating my world now. It feels so wonderful.
I've had a great experience at Restore.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. Do you need help for life's hard situations?
My husband recently said he wanted a divorce.
I'm confused on what I should do.
I have an eating disorder.
New Life Live answers your questions on relationships, grief, addiction, trauma, anxiety, and much more, all from a biblical perspective with our panel of professional counselors and psychologists.
I learn a lot from your program.
You help so many people.
I appreciate your ministry.
Whether you listen or watch, there are so many ways to connect with us to ask our panel of counselors a question. Call us Monday through Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific at 1-800-229-3000 to ask your question on New Life Live. Or go to newlife.com/radio for other ways to get your question answered.
I'm trying to find help.
I just want to know how to set boundaries.
If it's a sin, what am I supposed to do?
Need a therapist or a coach, a resource, or an intensive? Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Let me ask you a question about your marriage. If you feel more like roommates with your spouse or you're stuck in recurring conflict, make 2026 the year that changes. Plan now to join us at the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop. It is Valentine's Day weekend, February 13th through the 15th in Orange County, California. You'll receive help that changes everything in your relationship. You can visit newlife.com for all the details on intimacy and marriage and all the other workshops that we offer, as well as courses and webinars, or to find a New Life recovery group. We've got articles there at newlife.com, videos, podcasts. We're here with resources to meet you right where you're at. Visit newlife.com. Never stop growing, and tell your friends about us as well. So another way that you can get your question to us if you can't call in when we're here in the studio is to submit it. And if you go to newlife.com/radio, you'll find a couple of different ways to get your question to us. You can leave us a voicemail or send us an email. That's what MB did in Austin, Texas. And MB writes, how do I support my daughter in a way that protects her emotional well-being while also remaining true to my values? Here's the story. Since around 8th grade, my now 17-year-old daughter has been struggling with her identity. I have faced challenges at school regarding how I respond to this, and at one point I was labeled as unsupportive and even called homophobic, which has been very hurtful and isolating. My daughter tends to form close relationships with girls who often have difficult or traumatic backgrounds. They may be emotionally dependent or controlling. I worry about these relationships. I feel I cannot openly talk to many people without being judged as an unsupportive parent. Now, recently, she ended a relationship with a girl in her grade. After the breakup, the other girl began blaming my daughter for her emotional struggles, including panic attacks and depression. Her mother also accused my daughter of causing physical and emotional harm. I asked that they provide proof of these accusations, and instead, the mother called the police. When the police contacted my daughter, she denied the claims and said she understood the seriousness of lying. Because no evidence was provided, the officer instructed both parties to have no contact going forward. My daughter initiated a stay-away agreement at school to ensure she is not being accused of anything, and this ensures both don't make contact at school. I've told my daughter she's playing counselor and it's trauma bonding, not love. She agrees, but things don't change. She considers herself a believer in Jesus Christ, and I know her heart. I'm just struggling to understand why she continues to be drawn into these emotionally unhealthy relationships at school. What would you guys say to MB?
Well, MB, what I would say is this is a really challenging time, the teenage years. A psychologist called Erik Erikson outlined the different stages in life, and for the teenage years, he actually labeled that as identity versus role confusion, because we know teens go through something called neural pruning around this time, where the brain starts to get rid of information to make room for other information, and teens start to trust their friends or media and things like that more than they will trust you, and that's a normal part of development for them to kind of move away from you to start to be by themselves because they're going to have to become adults without you in this world. But it can be challenging because they're still dependent upon you, and we have a lot more foresight than they have to see when they're making decisions that can be destructive. But I love that you're wanting to support and protect her emotional well-being, yet also hold true to your values. And so this is just a period of time that you've kind of got to manage each situation as they come along. I love that your daughter, it seems like she's at least willing to listen to you and receive your support when she needs it. So I think you just keep on doing that with her, just knowing that, this is a phase of life. I remember when I was in it, and I just felt like so much pressure, like, oh my gosh, I have to know how to respond so well right now because this is going to shape them completely for for how they think or feel. But now I'm, my kids just finally got out of the teenage stage, and I can see how much they grew in the last few years, how things change for them. So I would say just keep doing what you're doing. I heard someone say this one time, that you might not be the brightest light in your kid's life, but what you can be is you can be the closest light in their life.
Yeah, I like that. MB, I think you're going through something that's really quite normal for those teen years, especially the later teen years, although it sounds like she's been dealing with identity. When we talk about the teenage years, adolescence, that's the main word. In fact, you talked about Eric Erickson, who actually helped us understand what teen identity is all about. We also now see that creeping into what we call the emerging adulthood years. So your 17-year-old will not probably change this tomorrow. It'll probably be something that will be a process. And my suggestion to you, MB, is just to stay in the messy middle. You're doing that. And so I want to affirm you because you stay in the messy middle. You don't agree with all of her decisions. You don't agree with even some of her beliefs. But it's very possible to be in a relationship and be the closest, as Mark talked about, be the closest to them and still show love. That teaches them also that you can live in kind of something that's you don't agree with. You can agree to disagree, but you can still show her love and be safe. I think sometimes this is a phase. We sort of forget that when they're 17, they're not all grown up, and they're going through phases. And so part of that phase is by you sticking with them. The relationship that she had with that girl that didn't go well, that's gone. And so they're not going to be sharing, birthdays and things like that. You are. So stay in the messy middle, stay with her, and hopefully watch her, come out on the other side a more responsible adult. And I'm going to add, who loves God. You said that she has a faith. I'm going to hope and pray that faith sustains her and actually helps her make some right and wise decisions along the way that's different. So stay in that messy middle. Be the safest person in the room, and it's possible to be the safest person in the room even when you don't agree on every aspect. Don't be a one-topic parent. But expand the relationship so that, when she is going through a tough time, she says, you know what, I want to talk to Dad, and I want Dad's wisdom, and she can respect you even though they don't agree. I have 3 daughters, and they all talk to me about respecting me, but we don't agree on certain issues. We just don't. But guess who they come to for other issues? Dad. And I'm watching this change. They're in their 30s now, and I'm watching this change in a beautiful way, but it takes time. So keep on keeping on is what I'm saying.
So MB wondered about the emotionally unhealthy relationships
great.
But I mean, everybody not everybody, but why is it that even as adults we get drawn to emotionally unhealthy relationships? And how do we notice it? Maybe there's people that are dating right now listening to this program, and maybe there's red flags or some kind of signs that maybe something isn't right. Should they always trust their gut, or what would you guys say?
Well, part of growing is experience. We got to try things. There's a little bit of trial and error in there. But what I would say too is it comes down to our attachment styles. Attachments is how we've learned to bond. And we know that there is only one securely attached styles, one secure bonding style, another insecure bonding styles. And these styles were learned in childhood, they follow us into adulthood. So if you're noticing yourself getting into the same patterns that you get stuck in, right, there's a way out, there's an answer, there's a reason for that. And if you can understand the attachment research and what secure attachment looks like, the research shows us that we can actually earn our way to a secure attachment and learn to pick better partners. A securely attached relationship is two secure attachments together. You can't take two insecure attachments, put them together, and expect that relationship's going to bond well. They don't play well.
It's good.
And it's never too late. Somebody might say, oh, yeah, my family of origin, blah, blah. It's like, no, you can still change even where you're at now. And to help you do that, you can purchase a copy of Marc Cameron's new book. It's called Understanding Your Attachment Style. It is available at newlife.com. If you order it today, you'll get it in time for Christmas. God bless you guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you at church on Sunday and talk to you on Monday on New Life Live.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.